Hello, 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 beautiful people. We are excited to be back with you for another live. Now, we are on a different day, and I appreciate you guys for riding with me. For those of you who are with us live, I would love it if you could drop your city in the chat. You know how we feel about making sure that we know who's with us live. But if you are new to the live experience because we're on a Thursday and you said, oh, Thursdays work for me and Tuesdays don't typically work for me, and you are here for the first time, welcome. Drop your city in the chat so we know who's with us. I have been busy, as you guys probably could tell. I have been busy. There's so much happening related to the Career and Care Summit. We are just days away. Today is March 5th at the time that we're recording this. The summit is March 21st. So we are just 16 days away from the summit itself, and we're just 15 days away from the pre-summit mixer that we're hosting with our nonprofit partner, the National Black MBA Association, Philadelphia chapter. So we got a lot going on in the background. We had to shift around our regular day to go live so that I could actually be doing other podcasts, other radio shows, other press for the Career and Care Summit, which is like amazing in so many ways. I feel so fortunate to be able to shepherd this idea from a place of literally, 3 years ago when it was kind of this idea of what do we want to do. And we knew that there is a challenge that many professional women were facing because we knew there was a challenge. We wanted to make sure that we stepped in the gap, right? We saw a white space and said, rather than waiting for somebody else to solve it, we went ahead and took action. So I'm excited. It looks like we have folks joining us from Los Angeles. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It looks like Nakia is joining us from Los Angeles. So welcome, Nakia. We appreciate you being here. So we're going to make this concentrated because the topic of the live was really this transformation comes from thinking like an executive. And it's funny to talk about it because I think leading up to the summit, I have been feeling more like a transformed person than ever before. So I have my own lived experience to really share with you all, but also just what I am noticing generally when the clients that I'm working with, as well as a number of the corporate clients that I've been able to partner with lately. This idea that there are so many competing factors that are trying to hold our attention, right? Whether it's social media, whether it's work, whether it's a news cycle that is absolutely crazy and chaotic, whether we're starting to navigate seasons changing, personal life changes, things that are happening all in all facets of our life, whether it's aging parents or young children who have needs and support, whether it's partner, whether it's looking for promotions or new opportunities. It's really there's a real risk of getting completely swallowed by all the things that demand and are commanding our attention. And it made me start to think about work, and it made me start to think about what is required in order to navigate the world that we're in, because there is real pressure. I am absolutely living witness to there is real pressure to distract us from our goals, distract us from the life that we want to design for ourselves. There's real pressure that are distractions that will hold us in a pattern that is not serving us anymore. But because we don't have the ability to shake out of it, we don't have the ability to step out and start to actuate and take real action against the things that we know are a part of our future, the vision that we have for ourselves. So we stay in a pattern that is not serving us. So that's really where I bring in this idea of thinking like an executive. Ultimately, you are the CEO of your life. You are the executive of your own life, and you really have to sit in the driver's seat. And oftentimes, where I feel that people are coming to me and saying, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure what my next move is. I don't know how to move forward. That's when there is an opportunity for us to have a discussion around what are your goals, what are your objectives, and then what is the strategy to be able to get there. And that strategy or strategies that you're putting in place is the real difference maker of you thinking like an executive as opposed to staying in a holding pattern that might not be serving you anymore. If this idea that intentional action is better than a holding pattern that's not serving you. It's this idea that taking a chance, taking an action, whatever that action is. The growth happens and the transformation happens in the movement, in the choice to take action, in the learning that comes along with I did something, I got new information, now there's something else that I want to apply. I can tell you that I'm personally living this as consistently as we're developing the ideas for the Career and Care Summit. It is at this stage in the process where we are just days away, 16 days away from the Career and Care Summit, that I am now really able to look back and see just how much progress we have made as a team and how amazing the summit is going to be. And most of that came from the starting of an idea and the strategy to put real actions together, a series of actions together that are going to drive us to the outcome that we want. And that's the part that I want to share with you. I mentioned when I was on the live with Tara J. Frank, who is an amazing author and someone I had been following on LinkedIn for years, following her work on LinkedIn. There might have been a little bit of time where, during lockdown, there were clubhouse rooms that she might have been in and I was listening in on. So we go from a 2020, 2021, where maybe I was introduced to her work on LinkedIn, to now where I took the action to shoot my shot. I planned a summit that I thought was already lining up to be pretty amazing. And I invited her to be a part of that experience because I had already taken the action to start working on the summit. So I had something to then invite her to for us to partner on and collaborate. And I am 100% sure that if I didn't have anything, there was no idea that was fully fleshed out. There was no date that would have been committed to. There was no venue or location. There was no fundraising that had already happened. Then it would have been a no. There would be nothing to invite her to. There would be nothing to shoot my shot and introduce. There would have been no potential for collaboration. So that's just one example of this idea of transforming my own behavior and my thinking by operating like an executive and really thinking like an executive so that I have the strategy necessary to get the results that I want. So I want to walk you through it. The first thing is you have to decide what it is that you want. You have to decide what it is that you want. Even if it is very simple and fundamental, I want to make more money. Now that you know what you want and you know what the goal is, then the process is what are the steps that I would need to take in order to make more money? Just to use that example. Oftentimes, we focus so much on the goal and we don't focus on the strategy necessary. And then we don't even have a chance to get into execution or taking action because all we're talking about is the goal. The action and the work is where the real transformation happens. So I told you about the Tara J. Frank example. Second example that goes directly back to the Career and Care Summit is I have been able to really sit down and bring in what I think are some premier voices in critical areas that I know we are talking about in our group chat. For everybody who's here live, we know that there's a group chat with your friends, with your coworkers, potentially with cousins, homegirls from college, friends and associates that you have gathered over the course of your life. And you're talking about what's happening, whether it's in your body when you're navigating that second act of life, perimenopause, menopause, avoiding injury, working out, trying to manage your health. We know you're talking about it. And oftentimes those are things that are just taboo and they make people uncomfortable. And there's all these social norms that kind of tell us, don't talk about that, hide it in the background. But because I knew for a fact from my own lived experience and from a number of my clients that this is something talking about women's health, women's reproductive health, navigating perimenopause, especially as it relates to your career. And this is for all women who are in that 35 to 55-year-old range. I know that there is something that's happening in the background, and to bring it to the forefront was the goal and objective. To be able to create a safe space where those fundamental, critical conversations that are going to unlock more capacity for you, that are going to help you hack and get to the code which optimizes your life, your behavior, how you show up at work. It certainly makes you feel like you are not alone. So the objective was to bring that conversation to a place where it could get light and people could benefit from it. And that way, as we're all navigating these changes, we have some information, we have some resources, we have some community to be able to support us in navigating the changes that we are navigating. So we all know it's happening, but it's this idea of it can't be talked about, right? And for anybody who's joining me live, if this is relatable to you and you have a group chat where you're talking about these women's health related things, consistency or asking questions and sharing stories, drop a heart in the chat because it'll help me to know that those who are listening are also on a similar path. But what it taught me was someone has to actively make a choice to remove our commitment to the status quo. Our commitment to the status quo is the things that are taboo, we'll keep them taboo and we won't talk about it. We'll just avoid it. And the truth of the matter is that wasn't serving anybody. That wasn't helping anybody. That was just allowing more people to suffer and to not have the right information and to feel like they were going about that alone, which was its own kind of special challenge that many people were expressing. So I reached out and did a massive search to find who I thought were absolute experts in the topics of women's health, perimenopause, reproductive health, all physical therapy, pelvic floor support, those critical systems that are operating in our body that we need to make sure we're investing in and we want to optimize. So I scoured to find the right people because I wanted to disrupt that taboo. I wanted to shatter any perception that talking about critical women's health issues is something that we're going to leave for the group chat. It deserves a place in the light. It deserves a place on stage. And I found Dr. Sophia Lubin, OBGYN, who is a phenomenal women's health expert. I also found Dr. Jasmine Tools, who's a phenomenal physical therapist and a brain injury expert who talks about muscle health, who talks about overall body function. And I also found Dr. Nicole Dugan, who is a pelvic floor therapist specifically focused in supporting women in managing their pelvic floor health. So if all of these terms are like, well, what does this mean? And I'm not sure, or I'm not familiar with it. Take your time to join us at the Career and Care Summit. You can go and do your research now. I am almost certain that you have had some interaction with these topics, and maybe your healthcare provider isn't skilled in certain areas and you've left your doctor's office with more questions than you had answers. So I brought the experts to the Career and Care Summit because I realized there was a problem that I wanted to solve. And I also know that in order to support professionals in navigating their career, we have to support them in navigating their health and well-being also. That's mental health and physical health. So it goes back to this idea of the real transformation comes from thinking like an executive, not just setting a goal, but getting to the point where there's a clear strategy in place that you're going to use to reach your goal. And then you are in action. You are in execution and action. You're taking consistent action towards that goal, even if it's not perfect. And I want to just encourage us for a minute. Imperfect action is still action. Imperfect action still will produce results, information. You will still learn something from that imperfect action. So I want to just encourage all of you who are with me here live and who are listening on the replay. If you're listening on the replay, I love that for you. I also love that for me, as you guys well know. If you're listening on the replay and something that I've already said resonates with you, share this with someone you know. Make sure that you are distributing information so that we collectively can get better at taking action and sitting in the driver's seat of our own lives so that we can be the CEO of our lives and we can feel that shift. Because the truth of the matter is only you can sit in the driver's seat of your life and feel like you're getting to an outcome you want. If you allow the systems that are in place now, and we know there are a lot of things that are looking to control or to direct how we move on a day-to-day basis. And I'm not going to get into that, but I am going to tell you that the more action you take towards your own goals, to protect your own interests, to reinvest in yourself, the better you will feel about your life, about your career, about your relationships. And this is not something that I think, this is something that I know. So the Career and Care Summit is really a manifestation of me personally as a leader, seeing a challenge that I wanted to solve, setting a goal to solve that, building out a strategy so that I have intentional approaches to getting to that goal, and then getting into action, getting into consistent execution, doing the work, taking imperfect action day after day, week after week, year after year. We are at the point where we are having our second annual Career and Care Summit. And I'm so grateful because last year when we did our inaugural event, it was a proof of concept. Do people understand? Do people think that talking about career and care under one umbrella is actually a benefit? Will it help you? Does it provide a support that you need? And is there a real value proposition for our attendees? And what we learned last year was resoundingly yes. Yes, resoundingly. This is absolutely something that is necessary and hugely beneficial. So now this year, in the second annual Career and Care Summit, we are taking everything that we learned from our imperfect actions from last year, reinvesting all of those learnings into the second annual Career and Care Summit. So not only are those changes that we just talked about, as far as bringing the right experts in place, making sure that we double down on disrupting taboos and go all the way in on giving exactly what we believe professional women who are navigating their career and life right now, support systems, putting those things in place. We then also said, how do we do this work in a way that is collaborative so that we can scale the work faster? We want to make sure that we don't leave anyone out as we're thinking about growing this community and really making the Career and Care Summit the best possible in-person experience it can be. So we took the step to partner with our nonprofit partner, the National Black MBA Association Philadelphia chapter. Shout out to them. The National Black MBA Association Philadelphia chapter is celebrating their 50th anniversary, but they've been doing work in this region for so long around providing professional development, networking, collaboration opportunities that they were a phenomenal partner. So we decided, how do we move forward to our objective? How do we scale it as quickly as possible? We do that through strong collaboration. We do that through amazing partnerships. So the partnership with the National Black MBA has helped us not only to produce a summit that is even better than the one last year, but now we've been able to expand and offer a pre-summit mixer on March 20th. So on March 20th, we'll have a pre-summit mixer at the beautiful Belmont Mansion in Philadelphia, historic legacy property in the city of Philadelphia. We're thrilled to be able to work with the Belmont Mansion, especially because it is shepherded by a nonprofit organization that is led by women, Black women. So those partnerships, those collaborations, that intention only was possible because we had already started taking action around the Career and Care Summit, and we had something that others could get behind, something that others could align to. Now, March 20th, we have the mixer. We're going to bring together two communities of very, very amazing regional leaders, thought partners, collaborators. We're going to have speakers from the Career and Care Summit who are networking and kind of building those early relationships at the pre-summit mixer on Friday, March 20th. And then you have the full day summit on March 21st. Now, you may have been able to check out the website and see the speaker lineup. And this is going to absolutely feel to me like a manifestation of all of the hard work that we've been putting together. We have CEOs from the Philadelphia Visitors Bureau in Catherine Ott-Lavelle. We have the CEO of Hello Products in Diana Hausling, who is joining us. We have Alma Gordon, the CEO of Global Fertility Connections, who is also joining us. We have Lonnie Booker White, who is the creative director of the Sauce.co. We have Melva Holt, who is the CEO of Pays Leadership Development. We have Tanya Ladipo, who is the CEO and founder of the Ladipo Group. We have such a heavy hitter lineup of speakers, and I didn't even mention every single name. Forgive me if I did not mention your name for all the speakers and moderators. Absolutely love you all. But we have a phenomenal lineup, and it is because so many of these professional women know exactly what support they needed at this stage in their career, and then they want to make sure they're in the place on the right side of investing into all of the attendees for the Career and Care Summit. It's going to be phenomenal, but it didn't happen by chance. It didn't happen because I set a goal. It happened because there was a bigger strategy and imperfect action that happened for years in order to get to this place. Now, my prayer is that we have such a phenomenal and amazing Career and Care Summit, and that the experience that last year's attendees who are coming back and this year's attendees who are joining us for the first time, that it is so impactful, that it is so reinvesting, that it is so clear that we all are exactly where we're supposed to be, that we can have something like the Career and Care Summit for years and years and years to come. And that we have sponsors that understand the vision and want to continue to support. We have some phenomenal sponsors this year. Again, taking imperfect action. We shot our shot with tons of sponsors, specifically ones that we thought were going to be aligned to be overlapping with what we wanted for the summit. And we got a lot of no's. But those, to really think like an executive, to really experience that transformation, those no's made sense for that time. And now we got a group of sponsors who were willing to say yes. And we're loving how it is working with the sponsors that we do have. That's including Jefferson Health. That's including Independence Blue Cross. That's including First Trust Bank. That's including Bare Hand Love Cuisine. That's including Shavu Consulting. That's including the Ladipo Group. These things are only possible because you have to have some audacity to sit in the driver's seat of your own life. You also have to begin thinking like an executive. And I am a testimony to changing your mindset, to transforming the idea that things will happen. Manifestation alone is going to help you grow. Manifestation is just the beginning. The thought, the idea, the goal is just the beginning. It's the imperfect action every single time that moves the needle, and the idea that you can collaborate and partner with other phenomenal thought leaders and brilliant, talented individuals that will help you accelerate your idea. Now, we had Sierra Pierce, the president of the National Black MBA Association Philadelphia chapter, with us live just last week. Sierra's been a phenomenal partner. And I think once you get action taken and people begin to see the work and see where you're investing and see the level of leadership and skin in the game that you are willing to put in, you will begin to find the right partners, the right collaborators. It does not mean that everything is going to go smoothly. It does not mean that it will be perfect. I am here to tell you that we have heard no, we have gotten challenged, we have hurdles, we had a pipe burst in a venue and had to make a pivot. It does not mean that it'll be without its challenges. It just means that the action that you take, the intention that you have with your action will make all the difference in you getting to the destination that you hope for. But that only happens when you are willing to be a part of the transformation yourself. And it comes by sitting in the driver's seat of your own life, of your own career, of your own business, of your own destiny, and really taking imperfect action consistently. So I hope that for everybody who is with us here today, this pulls back the curtain on what it looks like to build something from scratch as an entrepreneur. And it also tells you where the right double down and investments need to be. And that really starts with your own mindset and the way you see your control of every phase and stage of your life. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have to let Jesus take the wheel, because you do, but you do have to take intentional action. And then the opportunities, the universe will rise up to meet you. And we believe that amazing things happen on the other side of that transformation. So we would love for you to head over to gemsforthejourney.org to grab your tickets today for the Career and Care Summit. We are sure that this summit is going to sell out. My team gave me the ticket number updates earlier this week. We are sure that we're going to sell out. So grab your ticket today at gemsforthejourney.org. You can click the QR code or scan the QR code that's right here on the screen to grab your ticket. We have amazing giveaways. We have phenomenal sponsors. You don't want to miss this opportunity. I really sincerely believe that we are doing something that will change the lives of those who join us at the Career and Care Summit. So until the next time, I appreciate you riding with us, and I will see you next time. Make your journey work for you.